If you are afraid of starting over, you have probably heard nonsense about what starting over means. Now, what if I told you that the people you admire, the most successful people, the most confident people, have had to start over not once, not twice, but several times in their lives? And what if I told you that a fresh start might be the greatest thing that could happen to you? Society has conditioned us to think that starting over means failure, but that is absolutely wrong. Some of the most successful people had to experience some form of reset in their lives before they had their breakthroughs. Think of J.K. Rowling, think of Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey. Like, so many successful people had to start all over from ground zero to make the success that we all hear about. In this video, I will be showing you why starting over is actually a superpower and not a setback. I've spent weeks looking up stories, psychological studies, and real life transformations to bring you the most powerful reasons why starting over is not just okay, it is the best thing you can do for your future. Now, this isn't just motivational talk, it is backed by real world experiences and even science. Now, it begs the question, why does the society condition us to fear failure? And off the top of my head, the first thing I can think about is the fear of judgment. People think, what will people say? I'll use myself for example. I've been a lawyer for the better part of a decade, more than a decade actually. But I've seen myself transition from career to career to career. Now, even though while I was still in active, like full-time practice, I dabbled into a lot of stuff, and a lot of them had to do with business. And I'd hear people asking me, why did you choose this kind of business? This kind of business is dirty. Like, why? Why? After all of this school. In fact, I remember my dad, rest his soul, asking me one time why I chose to do what I chose. At the time, I was into rice. So I would go into the farms, get organic rice. We call it ofada rice. And then I would mill the stone and then distribute to supermarkets at the time. And it was paying me more than my legal practice at the time. And, my dad just wondered why I wanted to go through all of that stress, despite the fact that I had gone to school, hustling with market women and all of that. Like, he was worried that I was going to, abandon my 9 to 5 and just keep running around the streets with market women. He was embarrassed on my behalf and probably disappointed. And that is how a lot of people, would also look at it. Like, what is the thought process behind all of this? Why is she embarrassing herself and her parents? And it's all right, it's fine. People are allowed to judge. And I'm one of those people who believe strongly in doing honest work, provided it puts food on your table. Like, no one is going to feed me. If it's honest labor and it's paying the bills, why not? If not, why do we fear judgment? Like, why? Another concern that a lot of people have is the sunk cost fallacy. Now we're thinking, I've spent so years studying law, studying medicine, and now I'm going to just throw all that away to go pursue something else. Like, why would I want to do that? And this one is especially relevant to me because I've had to ask myself this question over and again. Having moved places a couple of times, I have had the question asked, are you going to, take the bar exams again? What do you want to do now? I'm sure you're going to be a lawyer here as well. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a lawyer here. Like, I didn't enjoy, well, I wouldn't say it was a bad experience, but I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I know that lawyers work long hours, especially if you're starting from ground zero. I mean, if you're going into a law firm, you have to put in the work and then rise through the ranks where you now become senior and, take up less hours. But that's hardly the case because, like, everyone literally lives in the office. So if I was, constantly worrying about, I've spent so much time, so much effort, so much money in becoming a lawyer, and this is the only thing that I know how to do, then that kind of mindset would prevent me from, going on to explore other things, other career paths. Like, I feel like this concern is ridiculous because, like, a study has shown that the average person changes careers at least 7 times in their lifetime. So why do we want to limit ourselves to one thing because we have spent so much in it, even though we might not enjoy it or we feel that we can do better elsewhere? Why? Another conditioning is clinging to familiarity. We human beings are creatures of habits. Like, you can't tell someone who has been a doctor for, say, 15 years of his life to go and do something else. We like to stick with what we know, and it kind of keeps us safe. But sticking to things that are familiar, things that you're used to, might prevent you from exploring even better things that are out there for you, for me. So that conditioning needs to change. So, like I said, clinging to familiarity, um, the fear of sunken cost, and then the fear of judgment. These things are the conditionings that we have to change to be able to embrace change. You have to know that reinvention is the key to starting over. You need to be open enough to reinvent yourself over and over again. Now, there are benefits to having a beginner's mind. Okay? You keep an open mind, you're very curious, you want to learn, you want to create, you want to innovate, and and that's the best mindset to be able to fail forward and live out the best life possible, living to your fullest potential. Because the truth is, when you stick to the same thing all the time, you will never know what exists outside that box that you live in. Now, why would I recommend starting over? I find that starting over, you gain experience. Now, starting over makes you wiser. You're learning something new for the first time. Of course, you're going to be, as in, awful at it, but it gets better with time. And eventually, you can speak to that particular situation and even teach others about it. Now, the beautiful thing about reinventing yourself and starting over, especially in something that you're not used to, is you already have experience from what you know, and now you're going to be gaining experience from something new and exciting. It might not even be related to like what you already do. I'll give an instance with myself. So I started out as a lawyer. I've dabbled, right now I am in front of you. This is content creation. I've dabbled into, sales and marketing. I've done some, retail trade. If I look at it from an industry's point of view, so from consultancy to agriculture to retail trade and all whatnot. And I'm learning, I am having fun. And now I can speak to several industries or and several skills. You become a jack of all trade and master of many. That is what, starting over and learning new things does to you. Number two, you become adaptable. Now, starting over builds resilience. Now that you have one or two skills at your disposal, you see that, for instance, in an economy where there are no jobs in the particular skill that you originally know, you now have two options. You are able to adapt to the situation around you and have more options at your disposal. You adapt and then are able to at least care for yourself in that given situation until you're able to find what you're, well, actually looking for. Now, one funny thing I find about starting over is it brings you closer to your purpose. Each refresh refines your purpose, brings you closer to your true path. You start to see yourself from different perspectives, and you then have more options to decide where you're supposed to go, what you're great at, and then you pursue it. So by trying multiple things and starting over and over, you better understand yourself, and then you go on to choose the path that is the most optimum for you. So that brings you closer to your purpose. Now, every reset helps you build a stronger mindset. Every reset comes with its own lessons. Now, you might have learned better communication skills in one reset. In another reset, you're learning sales and marketing. In another reset, you're learning how to do project management. In another reset, you're learning about, niche industries. In another reset, you're somebody completely different. So each reset, molds your mindset. It makes you a more rounded person. It makes you a better individual. Another beautiful thing that starting over does for you is you develop fearlessness. You feel invincible. You feel that you can be every and anything. Fear no longer controls you. You know that no matter the economic situation, you are an asset. As in, irrespective of the industry, you know that you can bring value to the table. So you go out there, you do great things, and you're not worried about, things that the average person who hasn't tried a lot of things will be worried about. So go out there, start over, try new things, develop that fearlessness. And people will wonder what is making you so confident, what is, driving you. But they don't know that you have built that fearlessness, that resilience from, starting over again and again. Another beautiful thing that starting over can do for you is attract better opportunities to you. Now, if you're able to walk away from toxic, relationships, you open yourself to new opportunities. Now, I'll use an example of a friend. She did not enjoy being a doctor, and despite the fact that it paid her bills, obviously, I mean, it's a high income earning space, she decided to walk away from it to become a travel vlogger. And it paid out for her. And now she does something that she truly enjoys, is able to see the world, has collaborated with the best minds in the world, and she's the better for it. So keep an open mind, open yourself to new opportunities. And this is not me saying if your job is toxic, just quit your job without having a plan B. But I'm asking you to keep an open mind. Don't prevent yourself from seeing great opportunities because you are in a particular position. Okay? You never know what is out there for you. So keep an open mind. Another beautiful thing that starting over does to you is you become a very interesting person. Now, your story is unique and, lovely to hear. And not just being lovely to hear because, I mean, you're a storyteller or anything of that sort. People want to learn from your experience. Or how did it feel while you were navigating sales and marketing as a lawyer? How can you compare, being a content creator to being in cybersecurity? Oh, how did you find your way into the AI space? Like, how did you navigate all of these things while, say, being a mom, being a dad, being like, people want to know how you did all of these things given the time limits you had, given all the constraints, say as to location, as to language, and all sorts of things. You become, someone who people want to learn from and hear and be inspired by. So start over. It's actually worth it. Another beautiful thing that starting over does for you is you build confidence. Like, you learn to trust yourself because you've been there, you've been everywhere and done that, and you've seen the ups and the downs, and you're like, what's the worst that can happen? So you trust yourself. And of course, you trust God to guide you through whatever path that you choose. You believe in yourself to deliver on whatever tasks that you set your mind to. So starting over is great. It is. Starting over also helps you align with your true identity. You're able to shed your old self and then embrace your authentic self. I don't know why people think that they have to be so stuck up on being one thing or remaining in one place when you can go out and be the best version of yourself. And a lot of people might not be accepting of this new you. And a lot of people might see you in your new phase and be like, isn't it this girl that we knew when she was this or that? What is she forming now? But you're embracing yourself. I mean, as far as you're not faking it, embrace yourself. Become someone that is living her best life and wants to achieve her maximum potential. People will adjust. And if your light is too bright, as in like you're so bright of a diamond that they can't take it, it's too bright in their eyes, they're going to wear shades. That's not on you, girl. Like I said earlier, you also inspire people with your story. Someone out there listening to your story might look at you and be like, oh, so it's possible for a small Nigerian girl from nowhere to achieve this kind of thing. It's possible for or a black girl to do this wonderful thing. It's possible for this shy girl, this very, quiet person to do this kind of thing. Somebody out there will see your story, hear about it, and be inspired and go out to do great things. And I hope that while you reinvent yourself, you continue to inspire others. Now, it's not every time that you do stuff that people will notice. So you also have to go out of your way to also share your story to motivate others or encourage others to embrace change, start over if necessary, and be the best version of themselves. Now, I'm going to share the story of a friend. I got her permission to share this story. Her life is a lesson on starting over and reinventing oneself. Now, this dear friend of mine was in an abusive relationship, fell pregnant, and had to leave with her child, moved to another city because she didn't have very much of familial support. So she moved to another city, went back to school, was working part time, was taking care of a child, and she was able to crawl her way out of the mess that she was in. So she went to nursing school, became a nurse for a bit. It paid her bills. She was living a good life. Then she found that she was great at sales, and from being a nurse, she transitioned to being a salesperson. And sales pays, as in, I wish I had that kind of skill, but she had a better life for making that change. Eventually, she also found that she could run a company. So from sales, she got her own products and became a CEO, started to sell her own stuff, market it, and all of that good stuff. And the company grew for years. And eventually, she was able to sell it. And so now what she does is she moved on from being an entrepreneur to becoming a coach. So now she coaches young women who want to become entrepreneurs. And you see that her life has moved from, not having any hope to becoming a nurse, to becoming a salesperson, to becoming an entrepreneur, and then ultimately to becoming a girl coach. And something tells me that she will, I don't know, the next time I see her, I'm sure I'm going to hear something different. She's going to be on to the next project in her life. And that's how life is supposed to be lived, lived to the fullest. She's an author, she's a coach, she's a great mom. And now I forgot to mention, she's now happily married to, somebody who appreciates her and has a large, wonderful family. So you see why it's good to just keep moving, keep reinventing yourself, keep searching for the better version of yourself. It will take you to the most beautiful places. Starting over is not bad. It's actually a blessing for so many. Now, I would like to ask you to think about that one thing that you wanted so dearly to start over with. What if you look back in 5 years, and realize that today was the moment that your life actually began? Karen Lam said, a year from now, you will wish that you had started today. What if that thing you fear the most is actually the thing that will set you free? Let me know in the comments what you are trying out today, or parts of your life you'd like to start over in, and let's have a conversation. Okay, I hope that you guys all subscribe, like, and share, and I'll definitely see you in the next video. Take care.